nonstop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
No, my mindset was really to be a Viking. I would like to retire as a Viking, and so I would like to play my way into that, if you will. I know I got to earn the right to do that, but if I could draw it up, it would be play well enough that you never have to play or wear another jersey anywhere else.
There he is, the Dagger Doctor himself, the late game luminary, the Colossus of Clutch, the fourth quarter pharaoh, Kirk Cousins. I believe that was his first press conference since signing the new contract, right?
Yep.
He's done a bunch of podcasts. He did our guy Joe Spinoza, the number one Kirk Cousins fan, came on that line. 2 weeks later, Joe Spinoza, number one Kirk Cousins fan, got Kirk Cousins for 20 minutes on his the debut of his podcast. So good stuff. Welcome into the show. This is Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. Mackie Judd, our executive producer Declan. The show is presented by Surly Brewing Company and TCL TVs. They have a whole new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. So Kirk, we'll get to a lot of things here. Yesterday was day one of sort of the if you have a new coach, you can start bringing guys in for meetings and workouts. It's all optional, but is it really optional? You got a new coach. You've got playoff Super Bowl aspirations. Like you should probably be there.
Yeah, I'd be fine.
And plus, KOC gave them an extra week. Technically, they could have started a week ago Monday.
He's already getting
with
soft.
New coaches.
Soft.
And yes,
SAWFT.
exactly right.
Soft.
Exactly right. So I hope everyone showed up.
Do we know if anyone didn't show up? So we
don't know who didn't show up.
I feel like back in the day,
guys come in and out too.
Okay, like they might come in, do some bench pressing, and then go.
There's lots of contract clauses that call for you to be there a percentage of the time.
So if you step foot in the weight, so here's my question: if you have like a $200,000 workout bonus, and you have to be there like 80% of the workout dates, can you walk in, spot someone for 5 minutes, and walk out and say, "I'm here. Give me my bonus"?
My guess is you can try it. Yeah, why not?
I think that's why Judd's here actually on a Tuesday. Like, Judd didn't come here on Tuesday. He's got some bonus in the contract. Yeah,
it's a huge bonus for me.
Dan's in the office today, too. Yeah, I knew it.
Yep.
I knew it.
It vests today. Here for 10 more years now.
It vests, yes.
It's a vesting option.
So, all right, how do you want to, we got some clips here, Dex. Should we talk about the wants to retire as a Viking thing now and then play the next clip about cap space and everything after that? Should we just start with this conversation?
Yes.
Okay. So, it's very interesting to me. And as you heard in the clip off the top of the show, he says the short answer for why I signed the contract is I want to be a Minnesota Viking. I want to retire as a Viking and play my way into that, if you will. Like, I find it so fascinating that he's been a starting quarterback now for 7 years. And the level of uncertainty on both sides for all 7 years, right? Like, here's a dude that puts up some of the most ridiculous numbers, like back of the football card numbers, 4,000 yards, 30, we talk about all the time, right? And so you'd look on paper and you would say, boy, if you're Washington or Minnesota, wouldn't you want this dude under contract? Like, wouldn't you want this guy signed for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years? And the teams are always kind of like, let's franchise you for a year. We'll lowball you, and then we'll franchise you over here. And the Vikings are like, okay, we'll do a 3-year deal, free agency. We'll do a 3-year guaranteed deal. Okay, then we'll tack another year on. Let's tack one more year on and see what happens, right? And then on the Cousins side, it's like, I want to retire as a Viking, but short-term contracts are more my thing, right? Like, no one wants to commit on either side throughout the history of Kirk Cousins being a starting quarterback in the NFL, and I find that fascinating.
I find it to be exceptionally predictable because that whole press conference is, again, Kirk saying what Kirk thinks that he should say. Like he never wants. So here's a flaw. When we play the clip, I want you to listen for two separate words that flow together like a beautiful thing. Super and bowl. I want you to listen to him talk about his not the fact that he knows he has to play well, but the fact that he's talking about his championship aspirations, because that's what it's all about, right? Like last time I checked, that's what it's not about your statistics. It's not about one win here, one win there. It's about, in fact, you know what? It's not even about regular season success. It's about going to the playoffs and winning a championship. I listened to the whole press conference this morning, and it's just Kirk. I don't know what else to say, and I know this comes off as bashing, but he's saying what he thinks, being the corporate quarterback, that he thinks he should say, which is, I want to be here. But he never says the key words, the words that come from deep down in a man's heart or a woman's heart if she plays sports, which is championships. He never talks about championships.
Yeah, so, and I can't remember if this part of it, when the clip that Declan played, I'm reading some of the quotes from the transcript here too, but part of the longer version of that quote of, I want to retire a Viking was, if I could draw it up, it would be play well enough that you never have to play or wear another jersey anywhere else. I'm going to work really hard to try and make that possible. I'm going to defend him for a second here, actually. Shockingly, I'm going to come to the defense of Kirk. I think he has played and lived his entire football life as a scrappy underdog that nobody really fully believed in, right? In high school, he had to grind his way to be a starter on, it was kind of like if I remember right, it was like an upstart high school program that hadn't been around that long. And he didn't get a Division I offer or a Power 5 offer until after his senior season was complete. Like most senior quarterbacks who are going to play Power 5 football have been flirted with since they were 6 years old, right? Like, that's an exaggeration, but they know who they're playing for the minute they step foot on the field for their senior year of high school football. And he had to prove it throughout his senior year of high school football just to get Michigan State to say, all right, come on down here. You're going to be 7th in line, but we got a Scully for you to play Division I Power 5 football. And then he gets to Michigan State, and it's he's in the back of the line. He's got to grind and work and push, and then he finally gets a starting job. And then he gets to the NFL. It's okay, you're not a first-round pick. You're he's been this scrappy underdog, and the biggest compliment I can give him is he has fully maximized his potential, or close to it. I think there's another level with a better coaching relationship, but he's operating at the 90th percentile of what Kirk Cousins was going to be professionally, right? And he's made $200 million guaranteed or whatever it is. But at some point when you're 33, 34, and you've been in the league, you've operated at a high level in the NFL, is there another level to his mental wiring of, it's no longer about, and I'm using his words here, playing well enough that you don't have to wear another jersey anywhere else. I'm going to try really hard to just sort of, now I'm paraphrasing, but I'm going to try really hard to play well enough so that they'll keep having me back.
Right.
No, the bar is higher than that. You're a starting dude. You're one of the 15 best quarterbacks in the world. You're fine. You're gonna have a job. You've made $200 million. You're fine. I want to hear more about what's next. Okay, you're financially secure. You've got a team. I want to hear talk about the team, Super Bowl, next level. I don't want to hear talk about, I just would like to play my way into staying as a Viking. It's dude, you're not the 4th-round pick underdog anymore. And you're a guy, man.
And the problem is he's not paid like that. He's paid like a star, which is awesome. Good for him. But then your goal should not be, I hope to get by. Basically what he's saying is, I hope to get by here. I like it here. Which, by the way, in my opinion, is what he thinks he's supposed to say. But if I'm a Vikings fan, what I want to hear is, how many championships are you going after now? What is the ultimate goal? Can't be, I hope to play well enough to survive. The ultimate goal is, I want Super Bowl championships. But you know what? So I've got a theory about people like Kirk, and it's not just Kirk, but people like Kirk who are seen as the plucky underdog who's pretty talented, but you know what? There's always something that sort of holds them back just a bit. I feel like they thrive up to a certain point, but then when they get to the front of the line, they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. And that's my opinion of Kirk, is that when he is the 5th guy at Michigan State, or he is the 3rd round pick of Washington when RG3 is a top 5 pick, Kirk's hell yeah, bring it on. Let's go. And the goal is to prove that you can be at the front of that line. Well, that's all well and good, but once you get there, which congratulations, he did, what do you do with it? Because Brady does not say, I got to the front of the line. That was awesome. I'm good now. I hope to remain a Patriot. I hope to continue to play for the Buccaneers. He doesn't say, I'd like to retire here. He says, I want to win a bleeping Super Bowl, which, by the way, is the goal. So that's the thing with Kirk when he responds to these questions. He did it again, too. Graf or somebody asked him about his role in O'Connell's hiring and how much he talked to, Crazy and all that. And, instead of saying, heck yeah, I was involved. I made some calls. I love KOC.
Yeah.
He's like,
get his ad in here. He's my guy. Yeah.
I didn't do as much as you thought. I didn't do as much as you thought. I talked to some, but I mean, at some point in time, that's somebody else.
Yeah. I think what
Kirk thinks.
Some of these little frustrations that are coming out, people ask us, like, how can you're so hard on Kirk all the time, and like, how do you know about his leadership and stuff? Well, first of all, we're not in the locker room on a regular basis, but we do hear things. But then if you can just listen to what he's saying publicly as the face of this franchise, and to the points you just made, Russell Wilson was a third-round pick, and so he had to spend some time very quickly, didn't last very long, proving that he was a front-of-the-line guy, right? One of the top 15 or 20 guys. So he actually wins the job in his first training camp over, was it Matt Flynn? I think they signed Matt Flynn to be the starter.
Correct.
But like a year later, he's riding the Legion of Boom defense, in fairness. It wasn't all Russell Wilson, but like he was unquestionably like, oh, he's no longer really proving himself. He's just the leader of this team. And now Kirk took over a team also with the number one defense in the NFL coming out of 2017, 2018, right? And it just didn't click the same way that it did with Russell Wilson. But I think he's afraid. One more point on Wilson, actually. When Wilson got traded to Denver, go back and listen to his press conference. Was he talking about, boy, I'm just really thankful to be here, and I just hope I can play well enough for them to want to keep me around? No, the way that he spoke at that press conference was, I know I'm the guy. They're bringing me in for a reason. I want this because I want to win Super Bowls. I don't want to just sit around toiling with a mediocre franchise that has antiquated views on offense. Like, I'm going to be vocal about this, force my way out, and now we're talking about championships. And I almost feel like Kirk is afraid to set those high expectations, publicly or otherwise, because like if he puts out a high expectation and doesn't reach it, then he's going to feel like a failure in some way. I almost feel like this is deeply psychological. I almost feel like there's a fear of success with him. He doesn't. His ethos as a quarterback is about avoiding risk, not taking chances, right? So if you can just play efficient risk avoidance football, you're going to help your team quite a bit. But when it comes down to, dude, need you to go that extra level and maybe make some riskier throws in big situations, or need you to do a little bit more, or need you to set an expectation that goes above just wanting to stick around and retire with the same team. Like I almost feel like that's a foreign concept to him. And maybe Kevin O'Connell can make him feel more comfortable with loftier goals in game and loftier goals for the franchise. Now, let's play this other clip, by the way. There's more Kirk fodder here. Mm-hmm. Let's play there's sort of a longer version of some other stuff that he said here.
I wanted to help create some cap space so that we could put together the roster that you do feel really good about. And I think it was just trying to always, find win-wins. And I think it was a way to create a win-win. And then hopefully that leads to a lot of wins this fall.
A lot of wins this fall. Again, it's like people are going to hammer me. You're just nitpicking. It's like he says a lot of wins this fall instead of Super Bowl, because a lot of wins this fall is just a lower bar to clear, and it's a more comfortable bar to clear than saying Super Bowl.
It's downplaying the ultimate pressure, and it just feels like his press conferences at times were practiced in front of the mirror the night before. Like, it just feels like he's saying what he thinks people want to hear. I don't know. I can't describe it, but I know it. And look, it comes back to a thing that we've talked about a lot, which is, in my opinion, the lack of intangibles, the lack of the it factor that he does not have. And that does not mean he's not good. What it means is, if you're his teammate and you hear that, are you thinking, I want to run through a wall right now? This is football. I want to go through that damn brick wall. Or are you thinking, yeah, that's Kirk?
But
which
I don't
again
think
is the whole, we like Kirk.
Yeah. I don't think people like hate him. I don't think.
Right. We like Kirk.
Like Mike Zimmer kind of turned into a toxic leader behind the scenes very clearly more than even ownership thought in the last season. I don't think Kirk is toxic by any means. It's just like, the cap space line is interesting. It's actually kind of I'm surprised that he said that, because usually I feel like he doesn't talk about his contracts really, but like for him to come out and say, I really wanted to help create some cap space so we could put together a roster that you feel really good about. And yes, he did help create cap space in 2022, but of course, like in the process of the Vikings saying, dude, oh my God, we can't, this $45 million cap hit, like we can't do that. Can you please help us out? We're new here, okay? It's Kwesi. Throw us a bone here, buddy. Like you've had this franchise, in a headlock for multiple years. He's like, okay,
Right.
we'll create some cap space. But I'm going to need a few things on the back end. I'm going to need $70 million for the next 2 years and a full no trade. Like there's always like some leverage hook on the end of it for him. And it's funny because other teams can create cap space too. It's not like the Vikings are in this vacuum where they're the only team that gets to create cap space. Well, by the time the offseason, the main bulk of the offseason market played out, even after saving the Vikings $14 million or whatever it is in cap space, he's still the third highest paid player in the NFL cap hit wise.
Right.
The only other two above him are Ryan Tannehill, interesting, and Patrick Mahomes with that contract that kicked in. So, he helped create some cap space, but the overall like leverage play with these contracts means that he's still one of the three highest paid players in the NFL, which means it is harder to build the rest of the roster. That's why you have to go for sort of like an average scrap heap right guard instead of a more highly paid right guard. I do like what they've done so far in free agency with their limited cap space, but let's not take a bow about saving the team cap space when you're still the third highest paid player in the entire league, right? Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit on patting ourselves on the back there.
Here's Kirk on Kevin O'Connell.
When they were talking to Kevin O'Connell and looking at him as an option, how much did you talk with ownership or talk with Kwesi about your experience with them, if at all? What were your exchanges like with them in that process?
Yeah, it was a minimal amount. I think I wanted to share and communicate, but by no means did I feel like it was my job to get involved, if that makes sense. So that was really where I saw my role, if you will.
And that's such a key clip right there, because that is the whole thing about. But I mean, if you think about, so Kirk is what now, 10 years in to a pro career.
Yeah.
If you think about the opportunity that question from Ben Gessling, Star Tribune, provided, which is to take the answer and spin it towards, hell yes, this is my guy. Like, this is going to be a different. I weighed in. And I'm going to tell you right now that I weighed in because I have played for KOC, and this is a brilliant young mind. And instead, he pulls back. See, this is his whole life. This is the problem. This is the ethos of Kirk, which is I'll only go to the edge, but I'll never look over the cliff because I don't like heights. And if I look over the cliff, I'm going to have to talk about the fact that I am applying pressure. That's what that did. He had the perfect opportunity there to say, hell yes, this is my guy. This is my opportunity. And he didn't take it. He didn't do it. I think Phil has frozen in
purgatory.
Well, look at that smile.
Yeah, great smile.
Look at that smile. That's $1 million smile. Who's Phil's dentist?
God.
We got to get them from the Pacific Northwest. We got to get Phil's dentist on board for this show because those are some pearly whites, baby.
Well, I don't know about the dentist, Judge Zolgad, but I do know you've been losing some pounds, and now you're on the weight control. You're weighing in. You are weighing in on these decisions.
Yes, I am. That's very well put. Yes, thanks to my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. And as Deck said, 40 pounds down or thereabouts, and now I am on the most important part because this is the part I've never sustained before, which is keeping the same weight. And the program to lose the weight was simple, easy, and the program to keep the weight off, it's simple and it comes through coaching. And I want to offer you the opportunity now, 25% off the Livia program plus 35 meals for free. So 25% off the program plus 35 meals for free. Lose the weight, keep it off. 855 go LIVEA, Livia.com, LIVEA.com. And if you are inside the state, you can certainly go to see their dietitian. They will help you out. But if you're outside the state, if you're a Purple Daily fan anywhere outside our state, guess what? Virtual visits. That's right. So sign up today, Livia.com. 855-GO-LIVEA. He's back. And by the way, Phil, you froze with a smile that was that you might want this for a picture. Like just to put it up. Just a frame. It was a perfect picture.
It was really nice.
It was like the perfect smile. But anyway, it went back to my assessment of Kirk's response towards. I didn't do too much for Kevin O'Connell.
And what I was going to say before I borrowed Judd's internet there for 60 seconds was, sorry, it's fixed. Judd's internet's fixed, but it's,
why are you taking shots at me?
That's like the first.
I got it fixed.
Just to put a bow on this here, I think I love the way you put it, which is he avoids risk, right? Putting yourself out there and saying, hell yeah. When I heard this dude's name was in the mix, I got to tell you how much I love working with him in 2017, and I feel like we're going to form a great partnership. We've already been talking excessively throughout the offseason. Love this guy. But if you put yourself out there to that degree and Kevin O'Connell doesn't work out, then it's like, oh, now it's risky to attack. That's how I interpret it. A lot of people I'm sure there's 50% of people that watch this episode and think you guys are psychotic. You guys are probing and digging way too much on this stuff. But I don't know. We've been covering sports for, combined for like 45 or 50 years, and you just sort of sense things with certain players. But anyhow, let's also talk about Dennis Kirk real quick. Huge supporters of us at Purple Daily, Score North, from the very start, going back 3 years ago. And if you are a motorcycle guy or gal, maybe you're Ragnar, all right? You should be getting your parts and accessories at Dennis Kirk and DennisKirk.com. Free shipping on orders over $89, 160,000 parts and accessories in stock, and same-day shipping on orders placed before 8 p.m. DennisKirk.com. Ride more, wait less. Let's before we get to mock a day here, can we hear from Patrick Peterson?
Yeah.
He had some interesting things to say yesterday. Let's hear from Patrick.
The atmosphere, the culture, just everything about it. I feel like Minnesota really took me and my family in, and I feel like we had something really good going here. We just needed to get lead it in a different direction. I think the Wolf family did a great job of bringing in some great leaders, great innovators on the offense and the defensive side of the ball to see if they can take us where we want to be, and I wanted to be a part of that because majority of the team was coming back.
I wonder what he would have said and thought about Mike Zimmer 2015, 16, 17, like when Zimmer was still fairly fresh and connecting with players, not fully, but in a better way,
And didn't Patrick, when he signed here a year ago, March, initially say that one of the reasons he came here was because of Mike and his coaching and things like that? You know what bothers me? I feel like the majority of responses that we are getting from players who are back, which is a lot of players, they are geared towards almost a conditioned response that's been spread throughout the building of Zimmer was the bad guy. Here's our talking points. I would really like to hear accountability. I would really like to hear we didn't do our job. I'd like to hear one person say we are the reason Mike is gone.
I think it tells you how much people hated him by the end, right?
I think so. Here's my dime store theory on this, though. When a message is put out like this from so many people and it's so identical in sports, it usually comes from talking points that the players have been, like they talked to O'Connell and Kwesi, and they're like, I know how bad things were here. This wasn't your fault. It's too many people. Like, I haven't heard one person, including some guys that I consider to be accountable, I haven't heard one person say, we screwed up.
And honestly, maybe they think that they were just put in bad spots. That's ultimately what we're going to find out in however many months from now, right? The season starts in 5 months from now. Harrison Smith, we have a clip from Harrison Smith, right, Dex? Also, he's more of a show your leadership and lead by example on the field guy. He's not the most vocal leader necessarily, but he had some things to say.
We're big on relationships. And knowing the guy next to you, knowing the guy coaching you, knowing about, what makes them tick, their families, and buying in, having that kind of ownership of not only like your role in this building and on game day, but how that affects others and how that can help others, how they can help you, and we can collectively, have success.
Patrick Peterson added kind of a similar thing about relationships when he was asked about Ed Donatel. And he said he always has great juice, positive energy. You can tell he's a guy that wants to get to know the player and the person. He couldn't care less about the football player. He wants to get to know Patrick Peterson, the person. Literally every time we met, he was always asking about my family. It was never about the game. It was all about how's the family, what's your next move. So that's another theme here. Harrison Smith talking about relationships. Patrick Peterson talking about Ed Donatel asking about family. Brian O'Neill from 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago, saying just some eye contact and a hello in the hallway. Just make it more personal.
Yes.
We'll see if it equates to wins, right?
I hope it works for him.
By the way, I fully buy into this. I agree with this, and maybe it's a generational thing, but
I fully
why would
buy
I want to
into
work
it
for someone that doesn't give a rip about me as a human?
But my point is that the response to this now has become so standard that I think it's clearly they're trying to say this is our new culture, so talk about this. I mean, there's no question players are told, here's what your responses should be. It's why they freak out when a guy goes off or speaks his mind. So, if it works, it's great. I'm just going to say right now, 2003 playoffs when Ed was the DC of the Packers and it was 4th and 26, and the pass was completed for a first down. I don't care if Darren Sharper and Ed and Bao Ju and Ed were friends and knew each other's families. Stop the damn pass. Just stop the damn pass. So there's a happy... I just really feel like they're focusing here on a scapegoat as opposed to addressing, and this is what scares me, as I don't think they are necessarily addressing the real problems. And the real problems are manyfold.
Well, Mike Zimmer was clearly a real problem. So
he was a real problem, but so was the team, and so was some of the guys that they're electing to bring back. And look, if they looked this in the face and said, we're bringing back some guys, like we're taking a little bit of a gamble here, little long in the tooth in some places, I would have more respect. I feel like they are trying to do what too many people do, which is claim that they have exterminated the boogeyman, and once that's done, it's potentially smooth sailing. That's not life.
Well, God, there's so much more here, and we can have more conversations throughout the week in the off season here. But one more thought here, and then we'll get to Makaday. I think, we put up that stat yesterday where the Vikings were historically bad defensively in the final 4 minutes of halves, where they were giving up touchdowns in the final 4 minutes of each half, 32% of drives, which is nuts. Like, not field goals, touchdowns, 32% of drives. That's going to regress in a good way. Like, that's going to come back to earth by just running a season back. Like, no one has ever been that bad since the year 2000. So you're going to pick up an extra win or two by just not having that happen again, just by having a different coordinator, just better luck, whatever it winds up being. And I think you're going to have a better offense based on everything we've talked about recently. So, 8 wins goes to 9 or 10, let's say from 8 to 10 sort of organically, I think. And then you have to factor in, all right, Eric Hendricks is a year older, Adam Thielen's a year older, Harrison Smith's a year older, Danielle Hunter, injury question marks, Darius Smith, like sort of the attrition that might erode on the other side. And that's the question, like how much can they gain by just replacing Zimmer and some of the bad luck?
Right.
But then how much do they lose by some of these aging players on defense going over the cliff if that happens?
Yep.
That's
Agree completely. What I'm saying is, as this culture is established, which I do think is important because your identity and culture are very important. I would like to see more of a culture of accountability, and I feel like they're starting off by passing the buck.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, they are. It is a culture of accountability. It's hold Mike Zimmer accountable, is what. I want to All right, it's time for your Makaday update here on Purple Daily. This one presented by our friends at Surly Brewing Company. Mark your calendar, speaking of the draft, April 28th. We've got the first ever Purple Daily Surly Draft Party. Doors open at 3 o'clock. We're going to start live on our YouTube channel at 6 o'clock, around 6 o'clock. Attendees have a chance to win a 65-inch TCL Smart TV. We're partnering with Surly and the Food Group to provide nutritious quality foods. Bring a canned food item. You'll get a raffle ticket as well to win prizes. And for one night only, Judd, Surly will be brewing a special Before I Die Minnesota football ale. You have to be there in person to drink this magical beer.
On tap, I can't wait. In fact, I'm going to make some calls. I'm going to try this beforehand to just make sure that it's as Judd approved as I think it's going to be. Absolutely not. Before I Die, which is the goal, because I got to try it first. Before I Die, which is the goal of every Vikings fan, every Vikings follower, right? A Super Bowl. This beer will put a bow on that mission. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think if it goes well, which it's going to, I think Before I Die might stick around, Phil Mackey, Declan Goff. I think it might. And by the way, no charge, too. Doors at 3. We start at 6. We go until the end of the first round. No charge. Come join us. Hang out. Talk to us. That's right. I talk. I'll be friendly. I promise. Surly Brewing, April 28th.
Hello.
Now, I know there'll be sincerity on this night, especially once I start to get more Surlys in me.
Exactly.
I get very sincere.
They get very chatty after about 2.5 IPAs. They'll get very chatty.
I want a mock.
All right. So PFF has a new mock draft out here. It's a first-round mock draft. 5 trades we'd like to see sprinkled in throughout the first round of the draft. Let's see if the Vikings are on the 5 trades list, shall we?
Gotta be.
So number 1 overall, Aiden Hutchinson to the Jags. Trayvon Walker from Georgia, the defensive lineman, to the Lions. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Kayvon Thibodeau to the Texans. Iquanu to the Jets. Evan Neal to the Giants. Kenny Pickett, first quarterback off the board of the Panthers. And then they have a trade, okay? Saints moving up to take Malik Willis at 7. Very interesting.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense, though.
Mm-hmm.
I get that one.
Falcons taking a receiver, Garrett Wilson, Ohio State. Sauce Gardner, the cornerback, to the Seahawks at 9. And then we have another trade. The Steelers trading up to 10 with the Jets to draft Desmond Ridder. So 3 quarterbacks in the top 10 here. This is way more likely than no quarterbacks in the top 10. I will continue to say.
I'm going 2 in the top 10.
Okay. Desmond Ridder, 10th overall, the Steelers there, leaping up.
Wow, yeah, that's a reach.
Commanders get Kyle Hamilton, Notre Dame, and that brings us to the Vikings. No trade. They stand pat at 12.
Yeah, because they didn't trade with Pittsburgh.
And they take cornerback LSU, Derek Stingley Jr.
I want a mock.
So this is now the 4th time since we started tracking a mock a day, the 4th time that Derek Stingley Jr. has gone to the Vikings. Trent McDuffie comes in at 2nd 3 times. Ahead of Jermaine Johnson twice, Jordan Davis once, and a couple of trades in there too. So there is. Stingley seems like the most frequently
so we think he's gonna fall
player
now.
of the Vikings.
See, I thought the great pro day would take him off the table.
Well, if 2 or 3
interesting.
quarterbacks go up that high, then someone's got to fall.
2 quarterbacks top 10 won't surprise me one bit. 3, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'd be surprised by that.
So there you have it. Here's your mock a day here on Purple Daily, and we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go. Patrick Royce waiting for us on Mackie and Judd. What time are we doing?
Are we going?
All right, thanks for hanging out with us. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We'll see you tomorrow.